Good evening, everyone. It is a Thursday night. That means it's another episode of the only podcast dedicated to covering the American Third Strike scene. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about the MXP podcast. And so tonight I have a very special guest. It is my extreme honor to welcome on tonight's edition of the MXP podcast a New England FGC OG legend. We have none other than the tallest Street Fighter player ever lived. At least at the time. The Smoothcat. Right? How's it going, Smoothcat? Dude, first and foremost.
Thanks for having me, man.
First and foremost, we're gonna get into, your story in a little bit, Smoothcat. But, just to get kind of personal here, I think I only met you once, and that was back at Evolution 2007, Evolution East 2007. We'll talk a little bit about that event later on the show. And then just over 10 years later, I just kind of randomly hit you up. And I'm like, dude, you want to do a podcast? And you were just like, no hesitation. And, just mad respect for that, man. Like, you didn't have to give me the time of day or anything. And that just shows just how much, like, you may not be, active in the scene anymore, but like, that Third Strike blood, that FGC blood, still pumps.
No doubt, man. Like anybody who I told you, anybody who beat my ass I'm coming on their podcast.
yeah, definitely. So, man, and then before we get any further into the show, I do want to say congratulations. The old man still got it, right? Congratulations on your win. From the last CVS2 tournament. Shout outs to Too Old, Too Furious Min. That doesn't count? You don't think that counts? Oh, don't tell that to Min that don't count.
I guess Min's doing good, big things, man. He's trying to get CVS2 back out there, man. And I'm glad I won the first one, so hopefully everybody gets better. Come beat my rusty adversity.
So tell me how that happened real quick, man. Because I know it's a Third Strike podcast, but, obviously you are not only a legend in Third Strike, but you are just I'm just going to say it, you were just dumb in CVS2. And you showed that.
CVS2 is just a dumbass game.
Oh, okay. But and you showed that a few days ago. But and we'll definitely talk more about CVS2. But like, how did that happen, man? Like, because you hadn't been kind of in the scene for a minute, and then you just.
It's funny because Min hit me up and he's like, "Yo, CVS2 has online and it's godlike." I'm like, "Nah, I can't do godlike, right?" So I'm like, I just got a PC last year. I got a PC for my son, so I'm like, maybe I'll check it out. I installed it and I had played Min like 2 days before the tournament, and playing Min, which we had like 20 ping, that shit was godlike.
Okay.
Like, it was unbelievable. Like, it was like lagless. I had so much fun. I was like, yo, I'll join the tournament. You know what I mean? And
that's how they get you, dog. That's how they get you, Smoothcat. Of course it's going to be godlike connecting with Min. Right? Y'all on the same coast.
Fiber optics, 10 million gigabyte download. That's why it was godlike.
Min with that, Team Spooky and Min and all them with that military grade internet, dude. And then of course it's going to be godlike. And then when you entered the tournament, what was it like?
Nah, it wasn't. I had to play Snake with Florida lag, and oh my God. I'm lucky to even win the whole damn thing.
Oh, man. But yo, shout outs again though. Like, despite all that stuff, you came in and you represented and you won the tournament. And so, are you gonna be entering the next one, dude, or you still thinking about it on the fence?
Yeah, my son wants me to enter because he never saw me win anything. He thinks I just throw out old legends and old tales and just shakes his head every time I say some shit, So maybe I'll win that one just to show him I still got it.
Oh man. Yo, speaking of which, man, I know for those of you who don't know, Smoothcat has gone the Guile route. He went home to be a family man. Yep. And so, just tell me a little bit about your family, man. How many kids you got,
Got 2 kids, a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, beautiful wife, and They drive me crazy now with this COVID shit, but hey, wouldn't have any other way, man.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing safe and the fam is doing safe, dude. So your son, he's the eldest, and so he following in the footsteps a little bit.
He did early on, you know, from when he first started playing on a stick at like 3 years old. I'd mash a couple
Damn.
games, he'll play, right? Until he got about 7 years old, where he kind of wanted to play basketball.
Okay.
Then it was over for that. But you know what's funny is Street Fighter V is so bad that my son got to Super Platinum in Street Fighter V.
Oh my goodness, this podcast is so saucy already. We're not even 10 minutes in. Yeah, man.
I don't know if he's talented, or if he took after me, or the game's trash. But I'm like, yo, this dude, no way, this is that good.
Dude. So you're saying he was earlier on in video fighting games, now not really, but he's still doing the basketball thing?
Yeah, now it's just like NBA 2K, you know, 2K life and playing real basketball, man. Like he don't want to. He actually used to he went to one tournament with me way back when he was like 3 years old. Other than that, he didn't want nothing to do with the FGC. You know what I mean? I don't blame him.
Oh no. Well, Smoothcat. Picking up right where we left off 10 years ago.
Yeah, just tell me like it is, man.
Definitely.
Man.
Sometimes we need that, dude. Sometimes we need that dose of truth. So, man, you know, for our newer viewers, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Smoothcat, Smoothcat, you started playing, you know, basically around the early 2000s. That's kind of when you get into that's when Smoothcat kind of got into FGC. You know, you came up primarily in the New England fighting game scene. When we talk about old school New England fighting games, we got to talk about Tokyo Game Action. We're definitely going to talk about, you know, that arcade and, you know, kind of, you know, what it meant to you, man. I know, you know, you had some really fond memories there. Unfortunately, I never got it. Yeah, man, and you know what? That's one of my deepest regrets, dude. That I was never able to go to TGA. I never was able to make it, dude. But you know, Mutant XP Jr. made it to TGA supposedly, right? Like I heard that story. About Little Kevin. Shout outs to Little Kevin, Chinatown
Little
Fair,
Kevin.
Necro player. But I heard a story that he went up there and y'all were calling him the son of Mutant or Mutant XP Jr.
Yeah, he told you that.
I know someone told me that story, but yeah, man. So like, you know, you came up New England fighting game scene, you know, obviously back in those days, Smoothcat. Like, if you were nice in the FGC, you were nice in all the games. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't really get any respect unless you were good in more than, like, at least 2 games, you know?
You start out in one game. Like, I started out primarily playing CVS 2, and they're like, oh, you got to play Third Strike. I'm like, I don't want to play Third Strike. CVS 2's godlike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go to a couple of tournaments, and shout out to Exodus, who used to bully me into entering Third Strike for no reason.
The Titan.
It's like, yo, enter Third Strike. All you gotta do is hit confirm and you might win. I'm like, I don't want to enter Third Strike. I don't like Third Strike. Then Paul started getting into Third Strike. People telling me to play Third Strike. Oh, your footies are good in CVS 2. Just play Third Strike. I'm like, all right, I'll play Third Strike. Yeah. Started playing Third Strike, getting a little bit better at it. And then when TGA came along, that's when you get the Japanese setups, and then we just went all out with Third Strike.
Yeah, man. Like that was kind of the thing. I mean, I don't know if it's like that still now in the FGC, but like back in the day, like you could it doesn't matter what game you played, you know, game recognizes game, and you could tell like when like certain players were really, really, really good. And like, you know, and if you didn't play that game and you played some other game that you really loved, you know, you kind of wanted to talk to that guy and go, hey man, you should play this game too, you know, because you know that they're going to make you
recruited heavy, man. Like you know what's great about that too is they were trying to grow their scene and they wanted more competition. Like I get it. Like KO Fiend, Exodus, all those dudes were just trying to get like top players from everywhere to just join Third Strike because you know it's a godlike game and dudes who really want to invest into it and get better at it did.
Yeah, man. So, you know, let's kind of go a little bit further back, Smoothcat, because, you know, like I said on the stream, earlier on the stream, I mean, we only got to meet once. And so, you know, I hardly know you, dude, but like, you know, like how did you get into video games just like in general, dude? Like how was that Like, where did you grow up? Did you grow up? Were you born and raised in the New England area, or
No, it's funny. I'm actually born in Cape Verde, like third world country, man. Came
Oh,
here when I
okay,
was like, yeah, came here when I was like 9.
okay.
Grew up in like Brockton, kind of a mean part, like kind of hard city, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So my mom didn't really want us going out all the damn time, so bought us a Nintendo. So we sitting there, playing Mario, playing this, playing that. And one day, one of my cousins were like, "Yo, I got Street Fighter." What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? For the Super Nintendo. I remember playing it, and I was like, "Yo, my God, this is crazy," because it was the first time you actually got to play, two-player game where you're competing against each other. And we started playing that. And then my mom would go to the local laundromat, and they had a machine over there, and I'd mash that. Yeah, and then it's funny, I stopped playing when I got to junior high. You know what I mean? I stopped playing just general. I was just playing other video games. And then it wasn't until I got in high school when I went to GameStop and I saw Capcom versus SNK, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Sitting there, I'm like, yo, I remember Ryu and Chun-Li and all this. I'm like, yeah, let me pick it up. Picked it up, and that's how I got into the FGC. It was around 2002, 2003.
And where were you at the time? Where was that GameStop at?
That was in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which has zero competition whatsoever. There is what's funny is nobody played. So here's how I got into our scene.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know Shankar. He does some video production too. Like he's got a couple. I think he did like a documentary on the FGC too. So the original Xbox Live Warrior was me, because I had no competition. I played online, and I was like SS rank and CVS2. I'm thinking I'm nice. I'm the best. So I play Shankar, and he tells me, "Yo, I'm from the New England scene. Like we play offline tournament." I'm like, offline. I'm like, who the hell does that? Sitting here like people gather to play fighting games. That sounds stupid. So, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what? He's like, yo. He's like, trust me, come down one of our tournaments. I'm like, I don't know about it. Then I met like the godfather of New England scene, Ed Pachi, and he actually was like, yo, I'm going to go to your house. I'm like, you're going to come to my house and play me? He's like, yeah, I'll go to your house and play you. I'm like, all right. So he came to my house, he played me, and I think I got the best of him. And he's like, hey, I don't even play this game. He's like, there's other players way better than me, and they'll beat your ass. I'm like, ain't nobody going to beat my ass, right? So I was like, all right. So I went to Paul Wall's house, the legend, right? Go to Paul Wall's house, Nestor, a couple of the other guys were there. Oh, my God, I got my beat. I think I played Nestor, and I think he beat me like 97-3 in the first to 100 or something like that. And that was kind of, as soon as that happened to me, I never played online again. Like, wow. I was just like, yo, I got to get godlike. Because, you got that competitive spirit, and you ain't trying to lose to anybody. So I was like, yo, never playing online. Started going to all these events with them. Started, hanging out and just playing all day. And that's how I got into it, man. It's the FGC story, man.
Awesome. And what made Ed like the godfather of New England FGC?
Ed, you know what I mean? Ed played all the old games. He's a little bit older than us. I think Ed's like 10 years older than us, and he's been around for a long time. He's been playing the old KOFs, the original, Super Turbo, and I got to shout out to Ed, man, because if it wasn't for him, I'd never get into the scene, man. He's not the best player at Street Fighter. He can hold his own. He's more like KOF, playing SNK games. But man, what a motivator! If you know Ed, man, you know how motivated he is. He'll motivate you to play your best. That's for sure. Shout out to Ed Pachi.
And so you met basically the core New England group. I guess the group of players that would later on, very shortly, be known as Team Hate.
yeah, those are the core players like Paul, Nestor, J Juice. Those were Wilson, all those guys. Yeah, man. Like shout out to them because we were like not that good. Nestor was probably the best out of us, but man, Like, did we power up with just having like a group of 5 or 6 guys?
Uh-huh. And so, when Ed kind of introduced you to these players, was TGA already open?
No, TGA
Okay.
wasn't open. So what we were doing is we would go to Paul. So
Mm-hmm.
Paul's dad owned a bar.
By the way,
And
R.I.P. Paul Wall. For those of you who don't know who Paul Wall
my
is,
best friend, man.
New England third strike player, passed away, left us a few years ago. R.I.P. Paul Wall. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, one of the best to ever do it, man.
Yep.
Like, Paul had a basement, and man, he had a huge basement, and he had all the fighters in there, and we would just sit there and play all day. And it was funny because one day someone said something like, "Hey, they're opening a Japanese arcade." I'm like, "A Japanese arcade? Where?" It was like, who the hell would open something like that? Shout out to Andy, by the way, who opened up TGA, and he opened it up, and it was like an hour and a half away. And it was funny because I was like, "Yo, Paul, we're going." I was like, ASAP. So we got in the car. A bunch of us just went there. And of course, we were just beating everybody there because nobody really played in Rhode Island like that. So we just stood on the machine just playing. But oh my God, just playing Arcade Perfect CVS2, playing Arcade Perfect Third Strike. You know the feeling, man. It ain't nothing like that. It's way better than playing that on console where it's inconsistent, man. It's just godlike.
So let me get this straight. So you got into CVS2 and Third Strike mainly as a console warrior at first.
At first, yeah. And then as soon as TGA, it was like a year after I got in, TGA was open, and we just stopped playing console, really. We just, TGA, let's go to TGA, let's go to TGA. Even though it was an hour and a half away, it was just worth the ride, man. I actually spent the Christmas at TGA. Shout out to TGA.
Dude, I spent Christmas at Family Fun.
Hey, dude, that's what it's all about, man, the grind.
I'm not proud of it, but I did spend Christmas at Family Fun once.
Hey, man, that's what I wanted to do, and I did it, man. Jace, what you want to do, man? Don't be shy.
No, dude, I like it. So, like, that's kind of interesting. Maybe you could speak on that for a minute there, dude, because, like, usually it's kind of like the other way around, right? Because, like, around that time, people who had been in the scene before you, like, obviously, like, myself, we had been accustomed to playing in arcades, and then we kind of had to make the shift to console. But for you, it's kind of like, it almost seems like the opposite, like...
Oh, I went opposite. And it was funny because the other guys were making fun of me, like Nestor and all those other guys, like Ernest and all of them. They played in Boston. Boston had an arcade. They would have those big 360 sticks. And I was a console warrior, and I played on pad, and I had to learn that. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? It was a tough transition for me. But man, once you just step on and you learn the arcade, it's just, you can't go back to consoling.
Well, but tell me what that transition was like, though. Was it difficult going from pad to stick?
It was very difficult, man. You're pretty much relearning the game over because I never touched an arcade stick.
So what was your motivation? Like I mean, because like that wasn't easy.
To beat their ass. I was like, yo,
okay.
Yo, these dudes think they're godlike. I gotta beat their ass. I gotta be the best. And it's funny because it wasn't just to beat them. Like, we played to be the best. Like, I was trying to, whoever was in my way, I was trying to be, whether it was Justin, whoever. Like, I just wanted to be the best at CVS2 at the time. And then when we got better at Third Strike, I wanted to be the best at Third Strike. And if you want to be the best, you play on the best hardware, and you play the best players, and that's why I just, it's funny. I would be at work practicing invisibly on a stick, thinking, okay, I would do this, and we'll go cancel like this, and it's weird just thinking about that transition where that's what I was doing to trying to get from console to arcade. What's funny is Nestor was the opposite. Nestor's going from, and Paul and them are going from arcade. And now trying to hold a stick on their lap and go, this is trash. And going, what is this? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm getting used to it. You know what I mean? I kind of had the advantage once TGA was gone. I kind of think I had a little bit of advantage over those guys, knowing that, I was already a console warrior.
Yeah. So take me back a little bit more to that first day to TGA, man. Like what was that like? Like, kind of like Like, who did you roll with? Like, you said you went with Paul,
I
right?
remember that day. It was me and Paul,
Uh-huh.
and we walk in, and I just smelled BO, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is this place, man? And it was funny because the DDR machine and all those dudes.
Dude, why is the DDR machine always next to the fucking Third Strike cab, dog?
Yes.
Why? So it was at CF2.
It's like, I guess it's a Japanese culture. You got to get through the stink before you can get
no,
to the
I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. But without fail, Third Strike was always near a DDR machine, dude. I never understood.
So you go through the DDR machine. I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I don't know how much I can smell this. Like, it's bad. Walk through there, and then I'm like, all right, the smell clears out a little bit. And Andy had like 2 back-to-back Third Strike machines, 2 back-to-back CVS2 machines, and like 1 Super Turbo machine. And he was adding as it went. And man, and what he did for us, and that's why I love Andy. Shout out to Andy. All the top players, just to save, and it helped him out too, was we would just play $20 and we could play all day.
Was that like on a DL thing though? Or was it like...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he would just give us the card to play unlimited, because what would happen was we would stay, like, I would stay on one machine, this guy would stay on the other machine, and we would just run train on everybody because we just wanted to play all day, right? Yeah. And once in a while we would play each other like a couple times just to save money. So he's like, screw this. Let me just give these guys unlimited time. That way they're not beat. And it was good because that way we wouldn't play the casual guys and the guys who were lower than us and just beat them up all day. I mean, we would play each other a little bit more, and we just played each other all day, and then we started helping the other guys get a little bit better once we didn't have to worry about spending money all day trying to, help other guys get better. And that's why, shout out to Andy, man. He made the scene better for that.
Man, like I'm glad that you brought that up, man, because lately I've been thinking about how, like, back in the arcade days, I lately I've been thinking about kind of like what was the relationship like between, like, say, the owner and then, like, the top guys that were competing in that venue. You know what I'm saying? I've always wondered, like, what was that relationship like? Because when you get godlike players to show up at an arcade, obviously that's where everyone's going to go to, right? Because they're like, oh man, I heard Smoothcat's playing CVS2 tonight. Let's go over to, like, and then it becomes, like, kind of known because of the players. You know what I mean? So, like, you got the owner, but then you got the players. And so, like, what was, like, kind of like your relationship like with our Andy, the arcade owner?
It was great, man. That's why, like, we love that guy. And I don't know a lot of different arcade owners. Some of the older guys, like, who went to the Boston ones, would tell me some shady shit that would go down with the owners. Andy was just like a crowd pleaser. If anybody complained about a button, that button was changed right there. Someone complained about a stick, he would change it. And it got to a point, though, he was too nice. Sometimes dudes would wild out, and, like, Andy wouldn't say anything, but, like, we would try to handle it. But, like, he was the greatest guy. Like, he was probably too nice to, like, make as much money as he probably should have. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that probably took a loss in the business where he probably should have made more money, but he did it just out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah, man. I don't want to sound like, one of those old timers, even though, I am an old timer, really. But, like, not to sound like one of those old timers, but have you ever thought, Smoothcat, like, what you would have been like? Well, maybe not you, right? Because your experience was a little different because you went from console to arcade. But, like, what if TGA never did open? You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe for people in the older generation, like for me, right? Like, what if there were no arcades? Where would I ended up? Do what would I have ended up doing? You know what I mean? And so, like, these arcades, these weren't just kind of like places of business. Like, these were places where people could go to. You know what I'm saying? Like kids, dude, and, like, you have nowhere to go. And stuff like that.
It was cool, man. Like, because every day, like, every time you went, you met someone new. You introduced them to the game, and you got excited for this dude that you never met. Mm-hmm. That's like, yo, he's going to start learning this game. He's going to learn Third Strike. He's going to learn CVS2. And you start taking him under your wing. And there was a couple of newer kids who came and wanted to learn from us. And it's crazy just because if there was no TGA, I don't think like 80% of the friends I have now, I wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, man.
That's just like it's just crazy, man. Like arcade is such a different experience from console. I had it both ways, and the arcade is just it's 1,000 times better. Like you don't understand. Well, you understand. Like you get up there on a Friday, and everyone who's good is there. You're trying, you know what I mean, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just trying to win that tournament. You playing on that head to head. Everybody's circling around to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's no feeling. Like it's such a great feeling.
Dude, definitely, man. Definitely, definitely. So I think now would be a pretty good time to take our first break. But before we take that break, guys, I just wanted to kind of show you a website, and then I totally forgot it already. I thought I had it queued up or whatever. Just give me a second, guys. Oh yeah, there it is. So I don't know if you know about this website, Smoothcat. I know I linked this to you earlier today. But there's a website called arcadeheaven.wordpress.com, and I don't know if anyone remembers this website, but they used to run articles, kind of blog entries about arcades. And so on in this particular article, they actually run a feature on TGA.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and link that in the chat for anyone who wants to check that out. I'll definitely have that linked also on the YouTube channel. But it was just great, just kind of reading the article. There's a lot of old pictures of perhaps people you remember, Smoothcat.
Oh yeah, when you
Yeah.
sent me that link, I was reminiscing, man. Like we
Uh huh.
we gotta talk about TGA because there was two TGAs,
Okay. Uh huh.
and there was actually two TGAs. Andy started both of them. Like
Mhm.
TGA number one flooded,
Mhm.
like he lost everything, and then he
Mhm.
started it back up again. And we got TGA the second one.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk more about TGA when we come back, but we're gonna go ahead and take a short break, 2-3 minutes. But don't go anywhere. We'll have more Mutant XPerience podcasts with the OG Smoothcat. And so we'll be back, guys. Evening, guys. Welcome back to more Mutant XPerience podcast. This is episode 41. My special guest tonight is none other than the New England FGC OG legend, Smoothcat. Smoothcat, before we continue talking a little bit about TGA, I wanted to ask you if you remembered this match. Apparently, this is, and first of all, for those of you who want to see Smoothcat in action, there is footage of Smoothcat. He's not just a myth. There is evidence of Smoothcat. And so a lot of his videos can be found in this YouTube channel, Frenzish. Tell me a little bit about Frenzish, Smoothcat. What do you remember about this guy?
He was a little like later to the scene, but man, he used to capture all the stuff for TGA, man. Like he did a lot for Andy, man. He would record all the matches, grab them straight from the cab. Those direct feeds, man. Like just those dudes that don't get enough credit for doing all the shit that all the technical stuff and playing, right? You know what I mean? Like no one gives love to the dudes or the Arturos behind the screen and the Spookies, but like, they captured like history. You know what I mean?
Or in our day, right? The Shogos. Remember Shogos?
People don't know about event hubs and all the
Bus Karate Dojo.
Yes. Yeah. Like I used to follow the Family Fun scene, and I remember all the stuff that they used to do for Third Strike, and I'd watch it. I'm like, shout out to whoever's putting all this together, man. Like you capture like history and stuff,
Definitely, man. So he's got a bunch of stuff, guys. So just go to Frenzish. Let me go ahead and change the screen here so you guys can see it a little better. Yeah, right there. So yeah, it's Frenzish, Frenzish. Just type that in YouTube. He's got a bunch of footage.
You know what's funny is I just found that channel and I saw a couple of matches, okay, and I'm like, wow. You think back, you're like, damn, and you still think about the mistakes you made, and you're like, why did I do that? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? It's kind of cool.
So I thought maybe it might be cool to watch a match from TGA, and so this was apparently at a TGA Ranbat number 7, November 4th, 2006. It was yourself versus DSP. I don't know if you remember that match, dude, but let's go ahead and watch a little bit.
I remember. We used to try to like troll Phil all the time and mess with him. Except in Super Turbo, like he was legit in that. He'd mess you up in that, but Third Strike. But shout out to Phil, man. He would play games that like he wasn't the best at, but if you sleep up and don't take it serious, he might beat you.
All right, so I guess you're Chun-Li, I'm gonna assume. Sorry.
I started out as a Ken player, and funny story behind this, I played Third Strike at like EC, one of the ECCs, and Justin was telling me, he's like, he goes, real CVS2 players play Chun-Li at Third Strike. I'm like, all right. Like I was, I told you I was just dabbling in it. I wasn't really 100% committed to it. But then I started playing Chun-Li, and it was funny as Justin said,
the post-round taunt? Oh, my God.
I told you, don't sleep on Phil, man.
Oh,
and Justin was like, you pick Chun-Li, and you just wiggle. You just wiggle a little bit, and they whiff throw, and you win. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
Oh, no. Phil used all the juice. All right, nice punish.
Phil with the sweeps, man.
Okay. Ooh! Oh, no super though.
That's what we used to call the smooth special, man. I was just learning how to hit confirms. I used to mess those up.
But that's a sick whiff punish though. I see you, Smoothcat.
Man, those are old days, man.
Ooh! Oh wow, what was that?
You know what's funny is, it was like.
Oh, what a block!
Was that 06?
Oh, what an anti-air!
The
my gosh! Oh no, how'd you get hit by that, Smoothcat?
Phil, man, Phil. I told you, don't sleep on Phil, man. We used to try. We would troll Phil, but man, he beat your ass if you don't mess around and take him serious. I think I started taking it serious and beating his ass. But man, that's just bringing me back, man.
All right, let's see what you do in this second set here. Oh, wow, whiff
You know
putted.
what's funny
Oh,
is I used to play a very, very aggressive Chun-Li.
I remember. Yeah.
It's funny because in CVS 2, I was known as the king of down back. I would just down back it.
So you just use third strike to live vicariously.
Yeah, like I would play like really aggressive in third strike because I liked aggressive Chun-Li. I thought she was better being more aggressive than she was. Like Justin played different.
So who did you really like? Who was kind of like your Chun senpai, dude? Like, who was the guy that kind of, like, was there anyone that kind of helped you sort of learn Chun?
I learned a little bit. Just Justin used to give me tips and stuff a little bit, just how to play her. But he played her like way too lame. So I kind of wanted to play her a little bit more flashy. So I told you when I started playing, went to Evo and I met MOV and he. Like that's when I really start learning some more stuff from Chun-Li. Like he showed me a couple things, but like really, tell you don't sleep off Phil, man. The power up really came when Genki and Issei really came and showed us how to really play third strike. Cause I was like a mid-level player. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then you start learning option selects and different things like that. That's when you get really good. And I think it was a little bit after this when Issei and those guys showed up, man.
And the taunt again.
Oh, Phil, that's what I mean. Like Phil would troll you and you would just play aggressive versus Phil. And, you know what I mean? Like don't sleep on Phil.
Ooh, that was sick. Dude, and you've been only playing the game for what, 3 years at this point?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Like it's you like I think I got second or one this tournament.
Oh wow!
I was just
DSP.
I was still learning as we're going, but
okay.
You get better playing the best people, man. Like shout out to Paul Wall, who powered me up, man.
But look at this movement. I still think Chun players today can learn from your movements, Smoothcat. Like look
like
at
I said, I'm more aggressive than anything else. At this point, I think I was like, screw it. I'm just going to space out Phil. Phil got hit every time by spinning bird kick. Phil was actually more aggressive than I was.
Oh, what's going to happen here? Oh, nice, Fierce. Oh, what an anti-air. Oh, so smart, Smoothcat. So, like, when you first started, right? Like, first started playing offline, right? Like, did you ever get, like, were you ever kind of like a player that always had nerves? Or did you, or was that never something that you had to deal with? I mean, everyone deals with nerves, right? Everyone gets nervous.
Yeah,
but like,
nerves never go away. I think you just kind of get used to it. That's what happened. Like, when you play online, obviously, you don't get any nerves because this is why I don't like online play. Is that you get bad habits and you don't learn from them and you have no nerves because you don't care. You know what I mean? It's just like, let me just do this to try to win right now. But as I started playing in tournaments and you play better and better players, I think you do get nervous, but just from playing so much, just from playing like good players so much, you're used to it, man. It's like it's just something you do.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk. Oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
I just think everybody deals with it. Like even the best players deal with nerves. It's just hopefully it doesn't affect you in the long run. We call it losing to yourself. You know what I mean? Hopefully you don't lose to yourself.
Because you were down in that last set, and you clutched it out. So you seem pretty comfortable at this point. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, missed. What did we just talk about? Missing the roundhouse. Yeah.
Oh, nice Kara.
Phil, man.
That's how you know Third Strike's a godlike game, right? Smoothcat. Even old Third Strike is godlike Third Strike sometimes.
Yeah, you look at some of these footage and you're like, man, we could have played so much cleaner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like the game just evolves and keeps evolving. And you know what's funny is,
well, here's the thing, Smoothcat, right? Like the game's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean. Like I think like my decision making is probably way better now as an older guy than I did earlier on. It's just probably the reaction and everything else goes away. You know?
Yeah. Well, there are solutions to. There are things you can use to address those things.
Yeah, like I'm not puffing like MOV, you know.
So wow, that was really amazing. So again, guys, if you want to check out some footage of Smoothcat and some other players that were in TGA, definitely check out this channel, Friendsish. And so Friendsish, wherever you are, mad props for all this work. You know, definitely giving us something to tangible to hold on to. You know, a piece of FGC history, right?
He had SBO qualifiers in there. Hey, shout out to that's what I mean. Like West Coast came down, Edma, Gutex, and those guys came down to play at one of the qualifiers. Man, like that's what I mean about Andy. Andy actually like would fly out Japanese players for us to get better at. Man,
wow.
Like, shout out.
And you know, and you're a genius, Smoothcat. Gave me the easiest segue. You mentioned Edma. For those of you who didn't catch my tweet the other day, it's going to be a double dose of the Mutant XPerience podcast this week, because tomorrow, 10 p.m. special start time, special tonight. Tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have none other than the master, Edma, on the podcast tomorrow. So for those of you,
another guy who played 2 games, man. He played CVS 2 and Thirst Strike.
Yeah,
man. He's good.
Dude, you guys must have had some battles when he went there. Though.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny is I beat him in CVS 2. He beat me in Third Strike.
Yo, there was a time like when he was really trying to get nice at CVS 2. Like there was this period, like a year and a half or something, where like I'm gonna ask him about that, but like he was really serious about kind of getting really godlike at CVS 2. Like I would see him, and at Family, right? It sucked because no one like he had people to play, sort of, right, at Family, but you know, like during Third Strike tournaments, I'd always notice him playing on CVS 2 machine, and you know, yeah.
Nah, he was good, man. Edma's a good player, man.
Dude, definitely. And remember, we're gonna have Edma on the show tomorrow. So definitely check that out. But let's talk more about TGA, dude. You had said that you had alluded to it earlier. You know, back in the early 2000s, back when Super Battle Opera Togeki used to still be in operation. Remember, like as far as the Third Strike scene goes, you know, SBO was kind of the big thing, right, for a lot of scenes. And then obviously SBO went away in 2012. But during that mid to late 2000s. You know, what SBO would do is they would, I guess, select. I don't really know how the selection process worked, but they would handpick certain venues in America to serve as foreign auto qualifiers. And, you know, TGA, you know, one of TGA's claims to fame is that I think they hosted the East Coast Third Strike SBO all qualifier basically all years, right? Like I don't think there was anywhere else that
they did it every year because there were no Japanese arcades around.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what you remember about some of those auto qualifiers, man. Like what was the first auto qualifier? Do you remember?
You know, the first auto qualifier, man, didn't go so well. It was funny. I felt bad for Andy because we had lost heat in the building.
And what year was this, man? What year was this?
Was this
2005, 2004?
I think it's 4 or 5, one of those.
Okay.
Right? I think that's when I first started getting good at Third Strike. I think I played Flash or somebody, but I think More Preem won it. So I think it's 04, 05.
Okay.
So I remember we had lost heat, so everybody's playing with cold hands, man. And Andy was just
wow.
He was just a wreck. But you know how it is, man. You adapt. You in there screw this, put your fingers together, warm up those fingers, and let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that everybody showed up. It was Justin, a bunch of these other guys, Ricky, and that's. You know, that gets your competitive spirit even more going, man. And shout out to those guys. They showed up a couple other times besides qualifiers just to support. It was cool.
Awesome, man. And so, since we're on the topic of Edma, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he went to the 2006 auto qualifier or the
Yeah.
okay.
It was like 2006. It was him, Gutex,
Mm-hmm. And
somebody
KO
else. I
Fiend.
forget.
And KO Fiend.
Yeah, KO. Yeah, KO Fiend was always there, man. Shout out to KO Fiend. I love that dude. KO Fiend was just a cool dude, man.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell me a little bit about that auto qualifier, because that's one of the more, notable ones, because I think there's footage on YouTube of that auto
Yeah,
qualifier.
like I think I lost. Oh man, it was like semifinals. I think I lost to Gutex, and I was so close.
Mm-hmm.
Missed a couple of things if I remember in that game, but he played well, man. Shout out to Gutex. He it was a good match, and he beat me, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember like the TGA locals. I think like we lost the first two, and that's when we kind of stopped playing CVS2 as much. It was like 70% CVS2, 30% Third Strike. So then we were like, yo, we got to get like Third Strike. You know what I mean? So it was like we started switching to like 70% Third Strike, and then started getting better at Third Strike. And I think like Paul and me ended up getting like top 16 at Evo or something like that. Like we started dedicating. That's what's tough about playing two games. Third Strike is, unless you're Justin, man, it's tough to just like play two games and like be like not just good. You know what I mean? Like a top player.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like got to invest so much time into Third Strike.
Definitely. So in that, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how the foreign auto qualifiers used to run back in the 2000s, basically, depending on what format, I think it was only 1 year Smoothcat where SBO did a 2v2 for Third Strike. They might have done it a second year, I'm not sure. But traditionally, Third Strike was a 3v3 thing at SBO. And so, I remember it was like one of the big deals too back in the day, back in the 2000s, kind of like the way that the West Coast did their auto qualifier versus the way the East Coast did their auto qualifier. So on the West Coast, they ran a team tournament for the auto qualifying spots.
We ran one a single player tournament, and you played 3 tournaments, and those 3 players were the team.
And so I remember that was a huge discussion, right? Back in the day on the SRK forums, right? Like which method is better? Is it the team method, or you want to, or you want to select the 3 best players to represent, Because and both had like really good arguments, you know what I mean? It's like the team thing, right? It was all about chemistry. Yeah, like the team thing, it was all about chemistry, but for the singles thing, it was all about, because like recognizing that like you're it. Right? Like you're one of 2 teams. I think Texas might have had an auto qualifier too, but you're like one of 2 or 3 teams, to represent an entire country at that event. So it's
I think US only had 2 teams. Yeah.
And so it's like, I understand, the logic behind both methods, but I remember that was a huge topic of debate back in the SRK forums, right? Like what method was better, kind of,
Oh yeah, I actually did. A lot of people were pissed. I think the West Coast guys wanted to just travel as a team and try to win it. But Andy was just like, no, we're doing single player. I actually liked the team better because I wanted to team up with my guys too. You know what I mean? But hey, you do what the owner says, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing about the singles, I always thought was that like, kind of like what you were saying, Smoothcat. Like, let's say, for example, you, Paul, and J Juice wanted to, qualify for SBO, right? Like, you could easily make that happen. Like, I mean, obviously it's harder, right? But like, it's possible to do that in a single format. Just make sure one of you wins each tournament, right?
Yeah. No.
So it's kind of like you're making them earn it. Sort of, yeah.
I was more a team tournament guy myself. I rather like that because like you're more comfortable with your boys. You know what I mean? Like what matchup they're kind of good at. You know what matchup you're good at. And you can kind of like, you know what I mean? Like pick, I'll do this. Single is just like, yo, let the best man win and let's go.
Yeah, and that's the thing about singles, right? Because that might be you might be able to like coordinate and pull that off, but like, what if you meet each other in the tournament, right? Then it's like, well,
Yeah,
then never mind.
I think that's what happened. Is I think KO Fiend I think took the third spot. I
Uh
think
huh.
one of the West Coast guys try to. I think they were trying to get three, but they ended up two. I think Edma didn't make it.
Yeah, Ed didn't qualify. I don't think we can definitely
Yeah,
confirm that with him. And,
yeah. I think Ed didn't make it.
and so, real quick, Smoothcat. So, have you ever been to Japan?
I have never been to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because the couple of times that my friends did go, work got in the way,
Mm-hmm.
school got in the way, and it just was just never got it on my bucket list. One of my dreams is just show up to a Japan arcade and spend like a month there and just play. You know what I mean? Just play the
Maybe
best
when the
video
kids are a
game.
little older, right? Or I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. I'll
Yeah.
finagle my honeymoon over there
Mm-hmm.
somehow.
Mm-hmm. But kind of to turn the discussion back to TGA, like, I mean, obviously nothing compares to playing over there in Japan, right? But like, you were one of the few places in the entire country. Like, I'm trying to think. Maybe I think Arcade UFO was already open by then. I'm not really sure, but like, it's not like TGA was like, it's not like there were a lot of Japanese style arcades back in those days, right? Like,
Oh
TGA
yeah,
was
I mean,
super unique, and it was, kind of talk a little bit about like, what it felt
it
like just
was.
being able to kind of play
It,
in that type of environment.
Oh, it was just crazy just because and I remember us just throwing out all the all the American sticks, the heavy sticks. We just like screw those consoles, just whatever, and like just go to TGA, go to TGA. And it offered just because what would happen is you would all right, let's play at Paul's. And then you would play and you would miss something and Paul would complain about Kuma's overhead, and I would throw it, and I'm like, he's like, oh, I would have won that TGA. I'm like, yo, screw this. We're never playing here again. We're going to TGA where everything is just perfect. Like it's just the perfect setting, perfect environment, and no excuses. You know what I mean? There's just no excuses. You just play the game in its natural form, and just sitting down on a cabinet. There's no better feeling. Like I'm 30, almost 36 years old, trying to replicate the same feeling of sitting down and putting my stick on a putting my stick on a desk. I'm putting my stick over here. It doesn't replicate that arcade feeling of sitting down on a stool, mashing.
Oh,
You
definitely,
know?
man, definitely. And it's funny that was the option select, right? Like, oh well, I would have hit that at CF, or I would have hit that at Family, or I would have hit
That is
that
the
at
options
TGA. That was
That's
the
why no
original.
excuses, man. Like, yo, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna beat your ass. You better not talk shit afterwards, man.
So, I want to talk a little bit more, man, about kind of like your mentality as a player. Because, like you were saying before, right? TGA was one of those magical places that gave you kind of an opportunity to just kind of play, like play and play and against the best. You know what I mean? And so, like, what was kind of like, how did that kind of help you sort of develop, your sort of mindset as a player? I mean, what was your mindset as a player? Kind of, how did you approach, you know, and you can talk about anything, whether it's training or practice or how you approached going to tournaments or competing in them. Like, what was your kind
Like,
of mindset?
like me, I always wanted to play versus low tier characters. Like that was one of my like pet peeves of when I played either Third Strike or CVS2, because when you're playing a tournament and you're already good, you're gonna run into a lot of like gimmicky low tier guys who would just do random shit. So I would always play. There's a lot of guys who wouldn't play the scrubs, but I love to play scrubs just to see like what certain guys did. They were guys because it happened to me one time in a tournament where some guy did far roundhouse with Yamazaki, and that move is like negative 18. And I went to go punish it, and he did far roundhouse, and he just smashed super, and it hit me. And I'm like, why would you do that? So I don't know why that stuck with me, but it stuck with me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play. I'm gonna get as much matchup experience versus low tier because I already know I can play
Huh.
I can learn the matchup, the hard matchups versus the top tier, because you're going to play those guys like 70% of the time. My mindset was, let me learn the best against low tier scripts so I can get out of pools and play the guys that I already know I'm going to play. That's kind of how I approach certain things. And my training was like, if you can see, I miss a lot of stuff in my matches because I wasn't a training mode guy. I liked experience. Mm-hmm. So the more I played, the more situations you get into and the more I can adapt to those situations. That's how I played. It was guys who were tech monsters who would do all these crazy stuff, but they wouldn't have the experience, or their neutral kind of sucks. You know what I mean? I kind of had strong neutral. My execution wasn't the best, but through experience of playing a lot, it kind of like broke the barrier for me.
Dude, let's talk a little bit about that execution issue, man, if you don't mind, dude, because that's been something. I don't know how active you are on Twitter. I mean, obviously you have a Twitter handle. You know, please follow this man, Smoothcat5. But recently there's been some comments by some more notable OGs, namely Valle, who kind of tweeted something earlier today, kind of talking about how video games are easier execution wise or something like that. I mean, I don't want to take it out of context. I guess we could just go ahead and read it.
Oh no, I mean, he's right though. Like games are made and like it comes from the horse's mouth. Like Capcom will tell you, like, we have comeback mechanics and like you won't miss a one frame link because we put this in it. Like games are made easier. And I feel like, I mean, I played Street Fighter 4 and I played Street Fighter 5. And I know I would go to locals and still make top 4 without even, you know what I mean? Like without even really playing. And that has to do more. Some of it is experience, but the games are easier. They really are. Like I couldn't just pick up Third Strike and just be good at it. It took me like 5-6 years before I was even like considered a good player, you know? So execution, and you're playing players, I think like, going to like locals and even tournaments, you're playing a lot of more. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of guys who just kind of casually play. Where I felt like when I played, my God, like dudes were like in it. You know what I mean? Like they brought it. Like they were just as grindy. They were grinding like you. Like it's not easy, man. Like I remember I always wanted to like get to a point where I could fight a Valle and fight those guys, and it took such a long time to get there. But it seems like, man, you watch a video where a guy you barely know or just comes out and like guesses right and beats a top player, and your soul just leaves your body. You're like, how? You know, you're like, that guy's so good. Like, why did he lose to that? You know, it's just, but the games are just, it's not like, I hope the guys like, it's the FGC, man, and like have fun with your new games and stuff, but I just can't play them. Like it doesn't bring me the same joys as the old games because the spacing's off a little bit, and even like the response time. Like if you play Street Fighter 5, I remember when I first got it, and I'm like, yo, this feels weird, and everybody thought I was bugging. And then the 8 frames come out, and that's where the 8 frame jokes we used to clown all the time and stuff. But like just that in itself, and a lot of like comeback mechanic stuff I don't like, and like. I mean, the original comeback was K-Grooves. You can say K-Grooves a comeback mechanic, but you kind of needed to skill the parry and do a bunch of other stuff. But man, like...
But isn't that why Third Strike is godlike, dude?
Like, there is no... Like, I like a game...
No,
like,
no. To me, Third Strike has the best comeback mechanic, dog. You know what the comeback mechanic is? It's you, right? It's you, the player, dude. That's why Third Strike's godlike.
I mean, just look at like the best comebacks, man. Like there were no Ultra, there were no V trigger to pop. Like the best videos, Daigo parrying, and that was all skills. Look at Justin's comeback with like Cyclops. There was no comeback mechanics. That was just like
you had to earn it. You earned the comeback.
Yeah, like I like earning a victory. Like even like that's like playing Street Fighter 5. I'd be losing. I pop a V trigger, I guess, and I won. It's just like that's not. I mean, it's not for everybody. I get it. That's just not for me. You know what I mean? That's why when Min said CVS2 is godlike, I'm like, yo, let's go.
Well then,
you know.
Well, that's Smoothcat, because like you're somebody who to me, after kind of talking with you tonight on this podcast, you're somewhat of a kind of liminal figure, because you sort of had a taste of you were in that sort of perfect storm where you were able to enjoy the access to like a traditional arcade, but you were still relatively new to the scene, where you were gonna fuck with SF4 for a little bit, see how it was, right? You're gonna mess with the other games and stuff, and because you played so many multiple games, it was all just about the competition to you. So like, where do you think like old games, like what place do they have in the FGC, man? Because like obviously we have this kind of niche poverty scene, right? But like, is there a place for like old man games in like the actual ecosystem of the current FGC? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there like, what is the place there?
Dude, what's funny is I remember like, and now we're those dudes, right? So remember the dudes who would play these like crazy ass Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fighting games,
Yeah,
or
Tournament
some
Fighters,
games you never even fucking
Sailor
heard of, and you're like, yo,
Moon.
they're like 4 dudes on a laptop playing this game. You're like, yo, that shit looks trash. Like, why would you play
Oh
that?
no!
But now we're those dudes. Like, we're in a corner playing Third Strike and CVS2, while these dudes are like, yo, look at these old dudes playing some whack ass game. We're playing Street Fighter 5. Like, that's where I think that, like, what's funny is they say I remember us playing, and from the 2000s, they would say we were in the dark era because Capcom never made any new games, and we were playing Third Strike, CVS2, Marvel for the whole time. That wasn't the dark ages, man. That was the best ages, man. Those games were just, those were the best times, and I don't think it's ever going to get back to that. It's like the original roots of the FGC, that shit was grimy. People are talking shit. There was no esports. People on the mic were yelling. You were playing, people in the back yelling at you. Like, those type of players, I don't even think can exist in this type of FGC. Like, man, I remember people when I'm playing, like, yelling in the background, just like talk, and you just concentrate on your game and just play it, and pop off and talk shit after. And like, it's just a different culture, different environment. And just the way just the way our society is now. Look at it. Like, everybody's sensitive as shit. Like, it's just different, man. Like, and the games, I think, resemble that. Like, it's a more like shake your hand, play this, do that. Where I love the rivalries. I used to, you know what I mean? Team hate. There's a reason we call it Team Hate, man. We used to just freaking talk shit to everybody. Thought we were better than everybody, and people prove us right or prove us wrong, man. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? And I don't even think we can exist in this environment, because I don't know what would happen.
Well, we're gonna get to Team Hate real quick, but just kind of close off this part of the discussion. So, like, what do you think, like, new FGC players can learn from older FGC players? I mean, because obviously we played in a different era, we played different games, we played in a different world, we played in a different environment. So, is there anything? Like, what in your mind, what can new players learn from old players?
Maybe just the respect level of, like, you can look at like old footage and say, oh, this guy wasn't as good as he was, or this, like, you should look at that as like an evolution. Like, and you know what's cool about my scene is, like, there's a lot of new blood around, but like they treat the OGs pretty good, man. Like, the New England scene's pretty tight. Like, they respect you, they'll know you and stuff like that. And there's a lot of newer guys, stepping out and making a name for themselves. But
and why do you think that is? Like, is it something unique to New England scene, or like, why do you think that is in the New England scene?
Yeah, maybe it might be. I don't know. Maybe it's because, sometimes we'll show up and, still show that we still got some skill, you know what I mean? Like, show up to a tournament, maybe place in the top 5, and like, yeah, I still got it for an old man. Maybe that's what it is. But I really don't know. But like, I don't even think like newer players can learn as much from older players. I think it's more, you got to experience that shit yourself. You know what I mean? Like, older players can kind of tell you, all right, maybe like training schedule, or like you should like try to do this and do that. But as a new player, that the grind and everything else, you got to learn by yourself. You know what I mean? But they'll never experience, and you know what's crazy, they'll never experience the arcade, and the arcade is such a different experience than playing like, you know, at a gaming event or doing this. It's just, I don't think players can, there's not much, I mean, experience, there's not much you can really learn from older players besides them telling you, oh, do this. Maybe like tournament nerves, and maybe tell you go to bed early. Because older players, when I played, Ed was telling me to go to bed early, and we were drinking till 4 a.m. and acting stupid, you know? So, that you know what I mean? I'm in top 8. Ed's like, yo, you're going to win the tournament. I'm at 4 a.m, me and Paul drinking beer and being stupid, you know? So it's like, maybe you can learn from wisdom of me telling you to go to bed early. That's about it.
Awesome. So let's talk more about some of the New England players, man. I know we've been talking about them on and off throughout the podcast, but you know, kind of, you know, maybe to steal a gimmick from a pre-existing basketball podcast. You know, in this podcast, they always ask, you know, like, who's the first player to kind of like bust your ass, right? Like, I'm asking you that question, man. Like in Third Strike, dude. Like, who's like kind of like, do you remember where you're like, wow, like there are levels to this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, like what happened there? You know what I'm saying? Like, who was that first guy for you, dude?
The first person that humbled me was Issei, because it actually happened to all of us. He came to Paul's house. There were 10 of us. He sat down for a work shift. It was like an 18-hour work shift. We gave him beers, we gave him food. He had his legs crossed. We had a head-to-head setup in Paul's house. He stood there, and I think out of everybody, I think I won one game in 18 hours.
Wow. So
yeah, and just playing him that weekend was like, I'm like, holy shit, like that's what I told you, we got to take Third Strike serious. Like, this is some crazy shit. This dude is parrying, he knows what everything's gonna do, and he's showing us how to option select, he's showing us different things and different techniques, and that's what humbled me. And I think it was like, might have played like 60 games and won one versus him, taking turns, and that was like probably the most humbling experience for Third Strike. And CVS2 was playing offline for the first time versus Nestor, and told you, losing like 97-3. That was a humbling experience, you know. But those type of experience either make or break you. It's like either like you quit or you go, yo, let me power up. You know what I mean?
Yo, Issei, shout outs to Issei. You know, kind of just from the outside looking in, because I only moved to New York, you know, when I got older. But it's just kind of like from the outside looking in, like that sort of second generation East Coast Third Strike players, Nika, Frankie, Hellgen, you know, Hellgen's kind of more old school, but like, you know, Ahmed, those guys, like those guys wouldn't have played the game if it weren't for Issei, you know what I'm saying? Like Issei gave birth to those guys, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't even know that. I didn't know they because they weren't back in the day.
Yeah,
so
because Issei moved to New York, and so like he just kind of, you know, all eyes were on Third Strike. You know, when, you know, before Issei came, you know, there didn't seem to be a whole lot of buzz. But once Issei came over, I mean, things changed, you know, dramatically, and so like, you know, so all those players like Issei's like basically fathered those players. You know what I'm saying?
No, dude, that's the player you want fathering you, man. That guy was godlike, like him.
So he just came one day to TGA.
Yeah, Andy was like, "Yo."
And so who else was there? Give me a roll call, man. House. Give me a roll call, man. Who was all there, dude? Who was all there?
It was me.
Okay.
It was J Juice. It was Paul. It was, I think Nestor was there.
Shout out to Nestor.
Shankar. I don't know if Shotokan was there. He might have been there. Not 100% sure. He might have been there, and a couple other guys that I'm missing. But man, talk about, you know what's funny is, this is why I love like competition, is like nobody wanted to go home. It was like 4 a.m. Everybody's like, yo, we gotta keep playing. Like, this dude just keeps beating us. Like, let's go. Like, give him more beers and freaking give him more food. Let's keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just such a cool experience to have that.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. So another thing, another story I wanted to ask you about, man, is that Issei is not the only notable Third Strike player that has come to visit TGA. Another story that will definitely go down in 3S lore is the Genki. The Genki visit.
Man.
So tell me a little bit about the Genki visit, man. Like, when did he come? How did that all come to go down as far as, what
I think he came like in, I think it was like 07.
Uh-huh.
I think he came in 07 and we had gotten pretty good at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We were pretty decent. And man, talk about not thinking that Alex sucks. Jesus Christ. He was more beatable than Issei because he played out. So we were getting games off him. But man, he was a really talented player. But shout out to the personality, man. Like Genki, we had him shit talking, we had drinking, being wild. He was a good time, man. Like he was fun, man.
So again, on Friendsish's channel, we got Genki versus Smoothcat here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was really good, man.
Dude. Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Genki, I'm telling you, man, he puts you in the corner, man. It's just like, oh.
So how many matches do you think you got in with Genki that whole time he was there?
We might have played like 300-400 matches. Easily.
Wow. And in the span of how many days? How many days?
In probably like 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3 days, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because Genki he was going back and forth, so we would go to TGA and just play all day. And remember, there's going to be, what sucks is at the arcade, you only have a certain amount of machines, so you got to put that coin or that card up, and you got to wait your turn, So it's just like,
dude, I'm so mad, dude, because if I look at this this date, August 12th, 2006, dude, I think I moved to New York like the week after that.
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure I moved to New York the week after that, dude.
Yeah, man, like that, like just having different levels. That's what I mean. Like with games. Here's another thing, right? With games, where this is just me looking at it. Like I'll look at like more so like Street Fighter V. There's a lot of like really high level players, and they're kind of all equal. Like except maybe like I think Punk wins a little bit more, and a couple of those guys. But there's like doesn't seem like there's like a crazy different level. You know what I mean? Like there's like a couple like Third Strike just has these levels, man, of just these players that are just so godlike that like they're just unbelievable, and that's kind of like the feeling you get when you play, because you're like, all right, you think you're at a high level, then you meet a super high level player, you're like, okay, so I'm at like this level. Now I want to play him a million times or play as his caliber to get to this level, where I feel like it's reachable, but the grind is just insane. You know what I mean? Where I feel like these games, like you still gotta grind, but there's not like that many like layers to this onion, man.
Yeah. So here we're watching Smoothcat Chun-Li taking on Alex Genki. Dude. And so like, what was I know you talked a little bit about like his personality. You said that Genki was, really, really friendly and down with all the shit talk. I mean, is there any were there any Genki stories that you're willing to share on the cast?
Oh man, we were just getting him drunk, eating food. He joined Team Hate for a little bit. I think there's like a video of him after winning. He's like, Team Hate, let's go. I'm like, all right, Genki, that's what I'm talking about.
Damn, you had Genki too in Team Hate? Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, all 19 of you. I thought there were only 18 of you. Now there are 19, dog. I didn't know he was Team 8. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, Genki was fun, man. Issei was cool, but Genki was just like, real personality wise, he's got a cool personality.
What do you think was Genki's favorite part about America? Like, cause I don't know. Like, was this his first time coming to America?
Yeah, that was his first time. But let me tell you, that motherfucker can drink, man. He was drinking and eating he should have been American the way he ate and drank.
Shout outs to Genki. You remember he won Co-op Cup a few years ago.
Yeah,
dude, that was sick. that was a comeback too. Like, oh my god, he was down too in that game. Oh man.
Yeah, that Orange Alex, man, that'll put you nightmares, man. That dude is a beast.
Lord, dude, but you're standing up to him though, you know.
Trying to, man. He was tough. Like I said, this was like.
I mean, you do miss a few hit confirms, man. So you know it's. Oh no, Smoothcat! Why would you test this man?
I know. You see that? You see the godlike?
Why would you test this man?
That's why I told you we didn't know there were layers to that.
Goodness. But what? Oh no, bad. That sucks.
Yeah, you know, just when you think you're good and then you get humbled. Yeah.
Oh my god. What? Oh, the option slash. Oh my goodness. Oh, we've lost video real quick of Smoothcat. So I think now would be a good time to go ahead and take our second and final break. But when we come back, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about evolution, some of Smoothcat's favorite memories from the evolutions in the 2000s. Talk a little bit about his basketball. For those of you who don't know, Smoothcat used to play basketball. He used to hoop quite a bit. And so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. But then when we come back, more Mutant XPerience podcast. Don't go anywhere, guys.